Hey y'all, this is Driver. So we're back on Car Mechanic Simulator 21. This is going to be Story 1. So these are story modes of the game itself. And I've already picked this one here in the first tutorial, the viewing we'll call it. And to access that, you have two ways. You can either right click away from the vehicle and go to orders here. Also, you can go to your telephone inside. And if you're not aware of where that is, just poke around in your shop or check out a video. I showed it in my first video, but you can always, anybody really. So this is a story mode. This is a story car. So we'll go into the car status, and when you first open this up, it'll actually be here. You want to go up here to the order, with the little call thing up here. And this basically tells you what you're doing. Now remember, we are in easy mode, so this is going to show us everything we got to do to this car. As you pick a harder difficulty to do, some of this stuff may or may not be listed. So anyhow, what we're going to do is we're going to get this beautiful little car inside, and we're going to put it in our first lifter because it's the only one we have right now. So before we start on this, I got a few suggestions for you, and you do what you want to do. It's all up to you, but this is how I do things. I always start off by coming to this toolbox, and I always get the tablet. It's only $500, and you can access that tablet from anywhere you're at. You got to hold to buy it, and now we have it. And it makes life a lot easier. Now, we're not going to be diagnosing this vehicle. We're not going to need any of these tools for the moment, so we're not going to worry about any of these tools right now. These tools are a lot more, especially, well, these three and these two are very useful if you are playing in anything harder than easy mode, whereas it's not going to tell you what's wrong with it. This will help you diagnose it. This is actually, it's a tire tester. You can actually just pull the tire and wheel off to find that out. But the other tools here are beneficial over time as well as these. So we're going to start with that. I always get that starting right out. It makes life so much easier. So we're going to start with the underhood stuff that needs to be done here. Now, what we do know that we need to do, the fuel pump's going to be obviously underneath at the back of the fuel tank. So under here, only thing we need is an air filter. So we're going to pick that, and it just highlights it blue. We're going to do that just for the sake of the video. You don't have to do that every time. It helps when you're trying to find these two brake pads, and we'll get to that later. So our air filter, this is pretty simple. Anytime you click on something, it will focus it to it. Sometimes it'll zoom in real close, zoom way out. You can zoom with your scroll wheel. All you gotta do is hold your left mouse down and boom, you can start taking parts off. You take this air filter off and there you go. So now, you look in our inventory and we have the air filter that needs to be replaced. Now, if you was further along in your shop, and we'll see this as time goes by, if you had your warehouse, which we don't yet, you might have one of these laying around. And I'm going to go ahead and mark this and put it in my shopping list. Now you can hover over it and hit the space bar, and then do it again with that one if you needed that one too. Or you can select that. No, I don't want to sell it, sorry. And you can click it down here. I always just do it space bar, makes it easier, so you see it's added to my list now. Now if we had our warehouse, it'd be through that plywood door that's completely closed off now. So the reason I bought the tablet is instead of walking over to that computer and clicking on that computer, I can buy parts from here. Now you're probably saying, well, hey, that's, it's a few feet for a walk. Yeah, it ain't that bad. Starting out, it's not that big of an issue. But if you're back there, you don't have a computer back there. And back there, as time goes on, you'll see what's going on back there. If you're working on a parts repair bench, you're lathing brake rotors, or you're on the engine stand building an engine, coming back and forth to here, it can be a pain in your tail. I wish they had a way to make it easier to get stuff out of the warehouse when you're out here. So anyhow, you got two ways to get to the tablet. You can get away from the vehicle. Actually, I think you can do it. Yeah. So the tablet's right there. You can just click that, boom. We're in here. So we're just getting the standard air filter, and what makes it nice, I can hit tab and it shows my shopping list. If you hit enter, it shows you the exact part you need. Hit enter again, it'll ask you, sure, this is where you can change how many you want to buy. Hit enter again, done. Now what I always do is hit tab again, and you can press X to clear that list. Makes things a little bit cleaner, and that way you don't screw up and buy the wrong parts. Also, to access that tablet, you can press the letter T on your keyboard, brings you right back to your tablet. And then if you need to go out to a different part of the shop, then you just hit that little home button up there, this one right here. So now we got our air filter here. We can go into the part mount feature, and it's the same thing as taking it off. You hold down the left mouse and it'll pop this up, throw that on. Might as well throw our air filter cover back on. Hold down your mouse to put your bolt back in. And then when you go back to your car status, you can see that we can uncheck that now. That is grayed out. That means it's done, and it also has the check mark there. It makes life easier. And once you finish this whole list, this will gray out. So we also still got an oil change to do, and we got a few other tasks. We'll do these last. I'll always do these last. And there's a couple reasons why I do them last. If I have to, because sometimes in here they'll tell you that they want you to either refill or replace and refill the coolant. Well, if your part of your order is that you got to replace the water pump, well, you got to take the coolant out anyways to replace that water pump. If not, you make a mess and you get a fine, we'll call it, a penalty charge. So anyhow, so this is a basic order. It is very simple. I don't know why my computer decided to do that, but yeah. For some reason, I think it's just my computer. This is an older computer, but it does weird stuff. So what we're going to do now is we do have the oil change to do. So let's go ahead and grab our oil drain pan, and we're going to put that under the car. And then we're going to use equipment, and you'll see the oil drain out of it, and that is some nasty looking stuff. Wasn't much in there either. And then we'll move it and put it away. While we're under here, this is a good time to locate that oil filter that needs to be replaced as well. And I am moving around using the AWSD keys, in case you don't know. We'll go ahead and get the oil filter off here. We'll look at our inventory, and we'll get it. I might add that to my list as well. Go ahead and buy an oil filter while we're at it. Clear my list. Go back into part mounting. And our oil filter, that part's out of our way. It's done. So while we got the car up here, let's go ahead and get the under stuff done that also needs to be done. So what I'm going to do is kind of just select things to move myself down and eventually turn, and I want to focus on this fuel tank, more specifically the fuel pump. Now we need to go back into unmount mode, remove this fuel pump. And here's the interesting thing, that fuel pump is actually rebuildable. But we don't have access to the repair bench, so that's something we are going to want to keep in our inventory. So, so while we're here, we're going to go ahead and get a fuel pump, and in that way we have that done. And let's go ahead and get that installed. So and as you're getting this stuff done, you can go over and check your car's status and see everything you've done. Now, I know I got to put all new tires on this, so I'm not worried too much about those. What I'm worried about is getting these two brakes done. So the brakes are in the front, which makes it kind of nice. So I'm going to go back and unpart mount. And sometimes what I usually do is I'll just click on stuff to keep moving forward and eventually get to a tire and wheel. So we have a bolt here that's resembled in orange. Actually a lug nut, but it does it with bolts and nuts and everything else. So when you try to left click to remove that, it won't let you do it. It just makes that weird sound, and just that's it, which is a ratchet sound. You got to right click one time, spray your fancy spray on it. Now you take the lug nuts off. So, and after that, taking parts on and off is basically the same all the time. And there's our bad brake pad. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into here and select my brake pad. And I do know I'm going to need two brake pads. So I'm going to go ahead and buy two. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to mount this brake pad back on. And put that back together. I'm not going to put the wheel on. So now we're going to hop down here for a minute. And what we're going to do is we're going to go over to our tire changer. Now you got 3 options. Obviously there ain't nothing on here, you can't take it. Install would obviously be the obvious, and separate's the obvious. So we're going to separate these two from each other, and we're going to wait. Now I'm going to go ahead and buy 4 tires when I get this off and know what I need. So now we can take the tires off, look at our inventory, and there's our tire. So I know I need 4 of those. I'm just going to only do that one time. Sometimes if you need to get, you know, say you only need 2 brake pads but the car's got 4, you might want to do twice, you know, just so you've got everything you need. It's up to you. It's how you want to do it. You'll see how I do it as I go. So now we're going to go into store. Now we got to go to tires. Now this is where it gets interesting. So never cleared the brake pads, did I? Okay, so here's a nice thing. It tells you your size right here, 215, 75, 15. Now it doesn't put it in that order, so you got to kind of memorize that for a hot minute. So we know we need a 215, 75, 15. It's going to give us the correct tire. I think I've already forgot. Hold on. If you always forget, you know, you can just go back to 215.75. I was trying to go 275. So let's try that again. 215.75, 15. And always remember, make your life easier to select the amount of tires you are going to need, you know. And don't be stocking up and buying extras of a lot of this stuff, because this size you might only buy this one time for one job and never have to buy another one. You never know. So boom, we got all 4. Now we can install the new tire on the wheel. And then we take it. Now, interesting note, you have wheel balancer here. Now I'll show you this, just so you know. You go up here, part mount, and you want to mount this. It won't let you. Unable to install unbalanced wheel. They always have to be balanced. Kind of a pain in my opinion, because if I'm rebuilding a vehicle and just want to throw some tires on it just to get it out of my way, it won't let me do it. So we got to go do the balance thing. This is pretty simple. You can use your A and D to rotate the tire like this. So we're going to just rotate it around and hit space. That puts a wheel weight on it. And just do it again, do it again. Sometimes you'll have 2 dots to do it, sometimes it's 3, it varies. Once you're done, grab your tire, and then you can slap it back on. It does not matter how you put the lug nuts back on, it doesn't affect the game, but I've worked on stuff in real life as well, so I always do it the way I was taught. Like so. Now, my preference also is I do what I call 1 corner at a time. So if I got to do a brake job here and all 4 corners, I do the work independent as much as possible, if it will let me. And the reason that I do that, I've had instances in the past, and this is more related back into 2018 version, where if I pulled both of these front tires off and then went and put new tires on it, if I had the wheels on the wrong side from what it remembered, it would remember that, and it would tell me that the car was worse than it started out to be, which was a pain. So what we're going to do is we're going to unmark this brake pad, and I'm not marking the tires, but you see it's already done. And then we'll go over here and we're going to basically repeat the procedure. I already bought the other brake pad. I've got that. And we need to go over and do this again. Almost got ahead of myself thinking I had already done stuff I hadn't done. You see here we only have the 2 dots. Just 2 weights we got to put on. It'll only be 2 or 3. I've never seen it any other way. Okay, so we got those done. We still got the 2 more tires to do. Another little quick tip that I will tell you. The way I usually do things is I tear stuff apart and then I look here and look at what I need to buy. To make my life a little bit easier, these red parts I sell. Now you can hover over it like this and hit enter, or you can left click and then hit enter or click to accept. I usually just hit enter, quick sell these. I will save these parts. I won't save the tires, so those tires will go. I'll save these parts because you sometimes have jobs that will say, yeah, you know, you can put that low of a part on there. So hey, if it saves you money, it saves you money, right? It's not the way I would do it, but just another way to do it if you so choose. And I apologize if I'm doing some of this stuff a little fast, because it's just kind of habit. And also, you don't have to stand here and babysit this while it's doing an install or separation. You can literally do that and then go over here and be using the spring puller, or your battery charger will be right here. Spoiler. You know, you can tend with those stuff, and then you can come back and go, okay, now it's ready. Now I can take that. And like if I'm doing a bunch of tires at one time, say I'm doing a vehicle rebuild, I'll go ahead and be having another tire being put on while I'm over here balancing this one. Okay, so all these parts have been done. Now we just got to finish the oil change and do these tasks here, and we'll get to those after we add oil. So let's go ahead and back out of this menu and get this lowered back down. This is usually when I clear out my inventory, things I don't need, like these tires. Gives you something to do while you're waiting on that. Don't take long, but all right. And for those that don't know, when you go to put oil in, you go to oil fill plug, got to have it in the green. Don't be in the part mount, it won't work. Got to be in the unmount mode. Left click hold, and eventually it'll come up. There's your funnel. you just fill her up. Eventually it'll tilt a little bit, and on engine oil I let it go until I start to see it kind of coming out of that valve cover there, and usually it's pretty spot on right there. And you don't have to, but I always check the oil. Look at that, nice and full, pretty clean oil. So the other task that we got to do are these here. Wants to change the brake fluid and change the power steering fluid, then refill the washer fluid. Now sometimes I forget what I'm doing here and always come back, but it's no big deal if you got to keep coming back. So brake fluid, power steering fluid, drain and fill. So what you're going to need is you're going to need to go to your additional tools here and grab your drain tool. So power steering was one, just hold down right there and it will just suck all that old fluid out of there. And then while we got this up, got the brake fluid we got to do. And then right click and then go back to your part on mount. And then go to your top of the cap again, fill it up. Now it's hard to see because this thing is so dirty, but there is an actual max line on this reservoir. But basically once that bottle tilts back a little bit, let that thing go up one more. And right there you can kind of see that max. It's hard to see being dirty, but it is what it is. The reservoir for the steering, power steering, most of the time you can see that little fill area. So as you're filling it up, at first it looks like it's filling up pretty quick, but then that line starts to come up. It's got a little mirror effect to it. And boom, now that's full. And I can't remember for sure, but I think it was washer fluid. Yes, it was. Okay, so now we just need, sometimes I just click on something in the center. There's our washer fluid. We just need to fill that back up. This here, I don't know what their thinking was on this. I've noticed that the bottle will tilt back down way before it's full. But I don't know about y'all, washer fluid goes to the top in my opinion. Maybe you're not supposed to in real life, I don't know, but I always do. So now we check our status and it's done. So from here we can click finish order if we want. And the car will just magically disappear and the money goes in our pocket. And we can see right here, you know, what our income was from doing the story order, the oil change, and the other tasks. They're all separated. Then you get a bonus for completing it. You get your job bonus and then your total payout. So 2106. So what we're going to do is we're going to move this car back outside. I think I'm going to do every story this way, just so that way we can finish it out this way. So this here is story number 1. They're not numbered, but this will be the first story. And if you I can't even remember how they called it now. I think they just go by this here, the 1977 Luxor Baronne. I may be saying this wrong, but that's what they called it. So we're already in this screen, so guess what? Finish order. And boom, we just made a little bit of money. So, and also too, we got something in our inventory. So we're gonna look at our inventory. We got a case. Now you can hit enter or click on it and use the case. And basically you're gonna open it. You open the case, they changed the way it used to be. Used to, you would get just random stuff. Now you have to pick 2 out of 5 of these cards. And I don't know if it really matters which one you pick, because I always just pick the first 2. So we got bonus credit and we got a barn location map. And then that's it. Hit enter to collect all those. And then your barn location, you can use this, and all it does is it adds it to your map. And I'll show the map real quick. That is this feature here. And so barn location is out here. But we got to be at least level 10 to even go out there. So we just throw it in there, it gets it out of our inventory and gives us some free space. So yeah, that's the parts that's left over. I want to keep both of these because I know I can rebuild this and this could be useful someday. I don't know. Unfortunately, we don't have the expansion to do into there, but we'll get to that later. So anyhow, guys, this was story 1. I hope y'all enjoyed. I hope it was informational for you guys. Sorry if it was a little lengthier than what some of you guys might want to see, and all that fun jazz. So thanks a lot, and I'll see you guys later.